Good morning. My name is Tricia Webster, and this is my presentation of the Civil War uniforms. When the Civil War broke out, the country was divided between two groups. To have a basic view of what the Union's uniforms wore was light blue pants, a blue overcoat with a cape, a dark blue jacket, heavy shoes, wool socks, a cap called kepi, a gray wool shirt, a knapsack, and haversack. They also wore a belt, which held a cap box, cartridge box, bayonet with scabbard, canteen, and a blanket roll, which consisted of a wool and rubber blankets, shelter half, and a poncho. The Confederates' uniform looked very similar to the Union's, just with a different color and lower quality. They did not carry a knapsack because it was far too large. Instead, they carried everything in their pockets. The Confederates even got the nickname butternuts for the faded coats and pants. Confederates carried much less than Unioners, which was easier to fight but came at a cost, with them having to capture and steal from the Union to stay alive. At the beginning of the war, the groups were not as coordinated. Most wore whatever they could find at home. This was the time for unique uniforms. Some groups were influenced by French Zouaves of North Africa, decked out in baggy trousers with bright red or stripes, with fez hats and turbans. On both sides, artillerymen had red kepis, shell jackets, and depending on ranks, different colored stripes down their legs, such as red. Cavalry riders had yellow stripes and trim on jackets. They had other uniforms for other special units. One of the most famous units was Hiram Burden's Union sharpshooters that wore all green. The Southerners' uniforms were made out of cotton, which is one of their most abundant crops, while Northerners' uniforms were made out of wool, which was warm in the winter and relatively cool in the summer, with the wind blowing. The North was much more put together because of the many factories they had and the vast production system, providing them to have plenty of uniforms for soldiers. While the South did not usually match, it was much more hodgepodge because they were an agricultural society and not an industrial powerhouse. The hardship of campaigning made them wear out clothing and shoes fairly quickly. With the ragtag barefoot Confederate remains a Civil War image. In truth, the Union was just as much found barefoot with little to nothing uniforms. Civil War branches of service identification rank from buttons, chevrons, colors, and rank markings. All uniforms had prominent markings on which they identified whether a soldier was an enlisted or an officer. The Union identified with epaulets and shoulder straps. The Confederate identified with collar badges and sleeve badges. As you can see, the uniforms differed between both groups, determining what happened on the battlefield. Thank you.